Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of Against the Ropes. I'm your host, Rich Quinones, and Pat Lynch joins us for a couple moments. He is a great manager, great trainer, and of course, he's got his guy, Glen Tapia, who a little change of plans going forward this weekend. It looked like the opponent, Boyd Melson, had a shoulder injury, so now Glen's going to take on Salim Larbi. And Pat, first and foremost, we appreciate a couple moments. And let's get into the setback with Melson. How did this occur? And I'm sure you probably did everything in your power to make sure that he was not able to go. But how frustrating does this have to be from a standpoint of the time that Glen's put in?
Well, that's the worst phone call you want to receive on, a week before the fight that the opponent had got injured and pulled out. And from what I understand, it's an injury that has occurred with Boyd before. So, I believe he's had two operations on a rotator cuff, and that's what happened in training. Those things do happen. And the thing that, is slightly troublesome is, you have a 5-week, 6-week training camp, and you doing all left-handed sparring the whole time, preparing for one guy, and then he falls out. Now you're fighting a right-handed guy we don't know too much about. But, that's part of the game, and, Glenn's a professional, and he'll adjust accordingly, and I'm sure Freddie will have the right instructions as usual in the corner, so I think we'll be fine.
I think you brought up the operative word. It's making adjustments. I mean, look, the bottom line is once said fighter steps into the ring, whether they've sparred a certain way against a particular opponent, that first or second round, that's typically when we start to see a little bit of adjustments, depending on how long the bout is per se. But my point being that Glen's a pro, he's been there before. When you have a guy like Freddie Roach in his corner, I'm sure Freddie's telling him, look, we're going to know right away what kind of adjustments we need to make.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Freddie will pick up on that immediately. He was in China this for the show that was in Macau, so he had heard over there. He beat me to it and said, "Hey, I heard the opponent pulled out. What's going on?" And then I had sent him the new guy, and he did his research over in China on him the best he could, or what he could find on him.
And you look at the opponent, Salim Larbi, and, again, here's a guy that has come into this contest against Glen Tapia. And, again, that fight's going to be this weekend at Madison Square Garden. Bottom line is he's dropped a couple in a row. He's dropped 3 out of 5. Possesses a little bit of knockout power. He's one of those typical European fighters, so to speak, and he's fought for a couple different belts here and there, WBO, light middleweight, WBO, Intercontinental. To a man, do you think this is a better matchup than Boyd Melson? No disrespect to Boyd Melson, but do you think this is a better test for Glen? It might turn out to be.
I do, and again, no knock to Boyd. I just think the style is a lot different. This kid has more experience on the boxing end of it. Boyd comes straight forward. He's just a tough, rugged kid. Where this kid, I think, has a little more finesse than Boyd does. He can box a little bit better from what I see. I think he's slightly skilled better, and that's no knock again to Boyd, but that's what I think. He had happened to be in the gym, from what I heard, training with Boyd, and that's how it came about, that he was already in New York, and we were able to make the match so quickly. With him being from France and stuff, because two different people had asked me a question: how do you find a kid from France who a few guys hadn't heard of? And that's how all of that came about.
After Glen's last fight in Atlantic City, mentioned that as far as this fight being televised, HBO, on the undercard, how's that going to work for those that want to get a chance to see Glen?
I'm not sure. I know it's on HBO International. It's a K2 promotion, not Glen's promoted, Top Rank. I want to thank Tom Law for allowing us to fight on their show. So I don't know if it would even be streamed on Top Rank. I doubt it. I don't think that, unfortunately, the fans here in the States will be able to see the fight.
And 2 more quickies for you. And again, we appreciate a couple moments as always.
Sure.
Give us the mindset of Glen going into this fight. And, the one thing that I've taken away so many times speaking with him, that it just seems he is now mentally, I just think, on a different level and more focused. And I think a lot of that's tribute to yourself and also having a Freddie in the corner. But talk a little bit about his mindset, if you can speak to that going into this bout.
Sure. I mean, I've seen a major change in him just with us making the move to California. I mean, he gets away from all distractions in New Jersey. He thinks about nothing, obviously, but boxing out there. Where, when you're close to home, it's easy to get distracted by friends and family and whatnot when you're training locally. Now he's out there in California. He just concentrates on his boxing. And, he's really done a 360, I'd say, on the mental side of it. Physically, he was always there. He never missed a workout, but he wants it more than ever now to not just be a world champion, but to be, climb to the top in the pound-for-pound rankings also. He wants to go down as one of the best, and he's really putting his time and effort in and making a big sacrifice being away from his daughter for 6 months at a clip.
Do you think we saw the fight? It's pointless when I hear people say it's a comeback. He didn't go anywhere, the kid. He just lost one time. But we saw the fight in Atlantic City, got rid of Collins. We see him this weekend. Say everything holds to form and he gets the W this weekend and moves forward. Is it time where you, him, and Freddie will sit down and say, okay, we're gonna not ease you back into it, but step up a little with the level of opponent, maybe try to get him one more fight before the calendar year's out?
Yeah, we were actually, not to jump ahead or anything like that, but it's my job to kind of look ahead. And I have a target date of either October 4th or October 11th for him to headline down Atlantic City and Bally's again. So that would be the game plan. Take a couple of weeks off after this one, back out to California and get training and get a fight in October, providing all goes well.
Would I put you on the spot if I asked if you had any opponents that you were looking at?
No, we don't, to be honest with you. But he will be the main event down there, which is great. He gets, the billboard going into Atlantic City, which is always nice. And we'll definitely work on somewhat of a step up, you might say, from the previous two fights.